I think we should now be live. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
So, thank you for joining us today. I'll just quickly do some brief introductions first of all. So, hello, I'm Sarah, as you probably know by now.
I'm Rubia. Hello.
And then we've got two special guests joining us today. Lucy, would you like to just introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, I'm Lucy. I've done a couple of different trips with different travel, one to India and one to Romania.
Thank you. And Dave, over to you briefly.
Hi, I'm Dave Andrews. I'm a design engineer, sort of living in Windsor. I've done 4 different travel trips now. So I started with Iceland, then Mount Olympus, Arctic Survival, and last year I did the Freedom Trail.
Excellent. So we're really just here today to have a chat with our guests and have a little bit of an insight into, I guess, what they've got out of our challenges and travel in general. You know, what sort of potentially life-changing experience they've been and how their outlook has changed as a result of them. So Rubia, shall I hand over to you just to sort of talk a little bit about that?
Just the usual first hellos. We've got Rob Holmes and Alan Henderson joining us. So hello, guys. So Dave, what prompted you to join the challenge in the first place?
Okay, well, mine it started with a little bit of a sad story. So a few years ago, my wife passed away. She died from cancer. So obviously, when something like that happens, your whole life changes. It was screwed up for quite a few years, and then you start to get your rebuild and get your life back together again. And so I found myself, because I'd been, one of my ways of coping was just working and working and working, and I realised I hadn't had a holiday or anything for about 3 or 4 years. So then I wanted to do something completely different, something I'd never done before, and also I thought it'd be nice to help out hospice or something, so something cancer related. So I met a friend of mine lives in Bracklesham, and it's quite close to St Wilfrid's Hospice. So we used to do a little Santa run there every year, and so I got onto their mailing list, and then they came up with a trip to Iceland, which they were planning. And I thought I'd been to Iceland the year before, and that was quite spectacular. I always wanted to go back. So when this volcano challenge came up, I jumped at the chance. It was inspirational, and it was something completely different. And since then, I've been hooked. It's it's fantastic.
How about you, Lucy? There's a couple of different reasons why I did it. Firstly, I am an animal biologist. That's what I studied at uni, and I've always wanted to work abroad in conservation, but I've never had the opportunity to do that because it's not what you know, it's who you know. So this was a way that I could follow my dreams, but have it as a hobby rather than a job. But the other reason was the trek actually left the day after my birthday. And that year, on my birthday, it would have been the 5th-year anniversary of my best friend dying from cancer. So after Lisa had died, I'd never really celebrated my birthday. I'd just glossed over it. And I know that's something that she would never have wanted, that she would have wanted me to keep celebrating. So in a way, it was a way to make Lisa happy. I was doing it in memory of Lisa. That's a lovely reason to do something like this, to commemorate your friend and your wife as well, Dave. So Lucy, what kind of expectations did you have before you set off? What I didn't actually have any expectations. I was just terrified. I'd never really travelled before. I'd been abroad with school, and I've been abroad with uni, and once with a friend, and since that I've never, due to different life reasons, I'd never had the chance to travel, so I had no idea what I'd got myself into, and I was absolutely terrified. It was facing all my fears in one go as well, especially I don't cope well with large groups, and I'm a very fussy eater, as Sarah knows. So I didn't have any expectations. I didn't know whether I could do it, but although I was terrified, I was still really, really looking forward to it, and I had got to meet some of the people beforehand, and we'd already built a bond. So, I think if I did have expectations, they would have been more than met, though. Quite.
I think we've temporarily lost Rubia there, but I'll just pick up, Lucy. I mean, I think, what you're saying there is so true of a lot of people. That we do find the majority of people on our trips do actually come on their own, but you're not on your own for long. As you know, it's something that very quickly that group bond forms, and everybody does just somehow seem to get on really well. It genuinely seems to be that case. Dave, I don't know if you sort of want to comment on that at all, but based on your experiences, but also going back to that question about any expectations that you had and what your thoughts were first going into this.
Yeah, well, in my case, I wanted to do something I'd never done before, something completely different and something very challenging. I wanted it to push myself as far as I could. Partly thinking of sort of things that happened in the past, I thought, yes, it would be great to get on and do that. And I found exactly the same thing. Yeah, a great group of people in Iceland. We all got together. We met up a few times beforehand just to get to know each other. And then we set off, and it was just fantastic from beginning to end. The whole experience of pushing yourself, climbing 3 mountains, finishing up on Eyjafjallajökull and getting to the top of that. And that was, it was really good. It's everything I'd hoped it would be and more. So,
well done for pronouncing that pesky volcano name.
It was close, yeah.
I'm just sharing some of your pictures, Dave, of you in Iceland. So it looks absolutely epic.
It was stunning. The views at the top were absolutely stunning. And again, we were really lucky with the Northern Lights as well. We saw them on 3 different occasions. And I think they have a rating of 9 for the Northern Lights. And we got, with 9 being the maximum, 1 being the worst. And we had 3 8s, so that was
wow.
That was
just put up the picture. It looks incredible.
Yeah, that was perhaps my only disappointment of the trip was I'd never taken the Northern Lights before, so I've got lots of really fantastic ones, but they're all out of focus, and that's the only one I managed to get in focus. So
it's a really hard thing to capture, isn't it, on camera?
It is, but I did learn how to do it while I was there, so that was good.
Well, you need to go back then and try again.
That's it. That's on my list.
So, what would you say, Dave, has been your most precious memory, I guess, on a trek so far, with all the different ones you've done over the years? Have you got any sort of real standout memory?
Well, I think they've all been fantastic. They've all been slightly different, and so I mean the camaraderie of all of them is fantastic. So right across the board, I've never had any problems at all. It's been really, really good. I guess because it was my first one, that picture that you just showed, getting on top of Eyjafjallajökull and then looking out across the sky and just realising what you'd just done, that really stood in my mind. And it also inspired me to think, I've got to do this more often. So that was the inspiration to carry on. And now my bucket list is growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, we do tend to find that's a bit of a problem with participants on our trips. It's you don't do it once and feel, right, that's it, I've done it. It's always, where am I going next? So a nice problem to have. How about you, Lucy? Have you got any real standout memories?
So many, it's just so difficult to choose one. I mean, there's a few in India, there's a couple in Romania as well. I mean, our trek dog Tiger in India that followed us for the whole trek, which I know has been mentioned more than once. The stars at Triond in the Milky Way that you could practically reach out and touch, just being so close to the stars. And again, Sarah knows that was a special moment to me, because I believe that Lisa's up in the stars, and it was as if I could reach up and actually touch her. They were actually that close. Seeing a tiger at Triond walk out behind our vehicle after 3 days of wait, or 2.5 days of trying to spot one and not being able to see it. Meeting Luna Lovegood in Romania, but I think the most precious one was actually, it was in Romania, and we'd been painting the fences and we'd ran out of paint, so we were waiting for more paint to be delivered. And I remember walking down to the gate of the bears and sitting down in front of where the bears were. I was just sitting there on my own. There was no bears there at that point. And next thing I know, this bear starts walking backwards and forward. And there was no electric fence at my side, so I was quite close to the fence. So the bear got closer and closer. And they sat down on the other side of the fence. And he was literally half a metre away from me, just sitting staring into my eyes. I could actually see my own reflection in his eyes. It was absolutely amazing. At some point, 2 other people joined me, but I don't actually remember when they came. I was too busy watching the bear. But I think that's got to be the most precious memory of being that close. His name was Tex.
Wow, that's a really special memory, isn't it? Absolutely.
I'm just sharing the picture of the bear that you sent me, and I think I've got one of Tiger the dog as well. That's an actual tiger.
That was Chotomuna, that one. That is a dog in Romania that we met at the mountain hut, and actually I remember sending a photo to Sarah, and she'd seen the same dog 8 years before.
It was really funny, yeah. I'd seen the same dog as a puppy, hadn't I, a few years earlier? Yeah. Oh. So, Lucy, how would you say the trip has impacted your life, or have these trips changed you as a person, do you think? Or?
They have. I mean, as I said, I faced a lot of my fears in a one go, from a fear of flying due to turbulence that I've hit 10 years ago and I hadn't flown since then. Fear of being in large groups, and now, but that was not a problem because the people were so amazing, the best people ever in both the groups. That really wasn't a worry. Fear of heights, etc. So I faced all my fears at one go, and I've always been a very determined person, and I've always believed that there's no such word as can't. But that just highlighted it for me that there really isn't such a word as can't.
Absolutely.
That if you want something enough, that you really can do it. It changed my outlook as well, as like, especially in India. When a lot of people have got so little, but they do so much with it, and they're so nice, and they'll do anything to help you. I mean, they treated us like royalty the whole time. It was just such an amazing culture, and to be completely out of the rat race, to have no time, no days. It was just, I still struggle to put it into words. It was just something completely different.
Wow.
But I've found that it's helped build my confidence, and it's helped build my self-esteem, and it's helped me be more myself due to previous things. I had lost myself, but it helped me find myself again. It was a big turning point for me, for bringing something back. And I've met so many people who are lifelong friends. I mean, people that I've travelled to see in England and go and stay with them as well. So,
wow,
definitely a big difference for me.
Thank you.
It's also made me realise that I can follow my dreams.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you. That's really, really inspirational. So back over to you, Dave. How about you? Has it sort of impacted on your life, and has it sort of?
Yeah, I think I'd like to echo what Lucy said. Really, it's when you do a challenge like that, one, you realise yourself, you realise what you're capable of. You also see a bit of the world that you wouldn't normally see if you go on other holidays and things you've done in the past. You see a completely different world, and it also makes you realise there's a big world out there. There's we're seeing so much bad news in the media and everything at the moment, but you realise that's only a very small part of the world. There's lots of beautiful places to go, and it does inspire you. There's lots and lots of people everywhere I've been. The local people have been absolutely friendly. The people I've been have been friendly, and it's an inspiration. You realise everybody has got a positive outlook, and so all the negative things that go on in your life and all the negative things you see, you go on a trip like this and you realise, no, there's a lot more people like yourself, all with the same ideas, and we're all inspiring each other all the time. And I think that's what I've taken out of the trips, and that's what I'll continue to do, I think.
It's quite eye-opening, isn't it, going on these trips? You kind of take a new perspective on things once you've been on them.
Yeah, you do, absolutely. It's and I think we can all get wrapped up in our own little bubbles sometimes. I mean, particularly after the bereavement I had with my wife, I was imploding almost for quite a few years, and I suddenly realised, life's for living, and I think you need to go out and share it with people, do amazing things, and it's good for the soul.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a few more hellos to say. So we've got Kelly joining us. Hi, Natalie, Nicola, Lexi, hello, Sue, Gokul all the way from Nepal is watching, Kelly and Jane. So hello all, thanks for joining in. So Lucy, what future plans have you got? Have you got anything in the pipeline?
Well, I'm hoping to do the Tusk one in January, and I'm also going to be going to Zambia next year and need the cat protection, to kayak down the Zambezi and spend time with lion conservation.
That sounds like a really exciting trip.
Yeah, can't wait.
And same question to you, Dave. Have you got anything coming up?
I've got a very busy time coming up for the next 18 months or so. I'm quite conscious that in a few days' time we were supposed to be leaving for Kilimanjaro. Obviously, with the coronavirus, that's been put back, but that's now on schedule for November, hopefully. So that's going to be my biggest challenge yet. and I'm really looking forward to that. Next year, I've got a private trip, hopefully going to Japan. We're going to do some trekking out in Japan in March, and then I've got a couple of different travel treks later in that year, which I think is another Freedom Trail, because that was so fantastic last year and a great bunch of people. I thought, well, I'll do the coastal one this time. And then off to Petra the end of next year, and again another one with Lexi. So that's three fantastic trips I've got planned for the next 18 months. So hopefully I won't run out of money, and then I'll have plenty more to do in the future as well. So I'm gradually working through the list. So yeah.
That's the way to do it. My list is just getting longer and longer, but yeah.
That's the trouble, isn't it? The more you travel, the more you add to the list, I think. You never feel you're kind of getting near the end of your list. You just keep expanding that list.
Yeah, mine gets longer every time.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so a bit of a different question now. If you could, we've obviously talked about how things have changed, or how doing these trips have changed your life. So if you could go back in time and speak to yourself in the past before any of these treks, have you got any advice or anything you would give to yourself, in terms of that? I'll put that to you first of all, Lucy.
Do it sooner.
True, yep.
To not worry about it so much, as I'd always believed, there is no such word as can't. So to believe that I was good enough and that I could actually do it, and that it was okay to ask for help and to admit that I was worried about it beforehand, but definitely to do it sooner rather than to leave it till a later date.
Yeah, excellent. Good advice there. What about you, Dave?
Well, mine would be to my former self would be don't think about doing things, do them. And then I'd have started a lot sooner, and then I'd have a much shorter list now.
You wouldn't.
Although I could then revisit them.
That's true. Excellent. Oh, thank you for that.
So what advice would you give, Dave, to anyone unsure about signing up, anyone who's a bit nervous about biting the bullet and getting out there?
I think I would say go for it. Do it. We're all capable of a lot more than we realise. Even if whether it's physical, mental, or whatever. If you challenge yourself and push yourself, you will succeed. And I think that's what we should be doing all the time. If you don't challenge yourself, you just tend to go backwards, I think, a little bit. So I would say if anyone who thinks they want to do a trip, don't think about it. Sign up, get on that trip, and you won't regret it.
Would you agree, Lucy?
Definitely. I think it's something that people should do. Life is for living, and life is short. If you don't do it now, you never know what's around the next corner. So you should push yourself out of your comfort zone and do something. It does enrich your life, and it makes a massive difference. And I know, so sometimes a lot of people I've talked to through my fundraising, a lot of the things they worry about is fundraising. They think it's really, really difficult, and it's not. It looks like a big amount that you have to raise, but it's completely doable. And for example, for Zambia, I had to help on my branch, my cat protection branch, which I volunteer for, but I raised over £5,000 in 10 months. So it is a completely doable thing if you're giving people stuff for what they're actually giving you rather than just asking for the money give back. So it's definitely worth doing.
Yeah, I think you get the support from the charities as well, and we're here to kind of support you through that. When you see that big figure, it can be daunting. I'm a past participant, as it were, as well, before I started working with different travel, and you see that number and it'd be like, oh my God, how can I raise that much? But if you break it down little by little, you soon, a lot of the times, it over and exceed how much you're meant to be raising anyway. So it can be a bit daunting, but I agree. You know, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Excellent.
So I've got another question for you, Lucy. If you could go anywhere in the world, no restrictions, where and why?
Ultimate destination is Everest Base Camp. I really want to go to Everest Base Camp, and it's because it's the closest I can get to the stars without actually being in the sky. But I would also love to go to, there's so many places I want to go to now. Same as Dave, my list is growing and growing, but my two ultimates are Everest Base Camp and Bhutan. And Bhutan is because I've been fascinated by it after watching Lost Land of the Tiger with Gordon Buchanan, which is an absolutely amazing program, and it just got me absolutely fascinated with Bhutan and the Himalayas there, and everything.
That's a really good goal to aim for, and totally achievable. It's a lovely trek. I think Dave, you've done that one. Have you done that one?
Which one was
have
that?
You
Sorry,
done camp, Everest Base Camp yet?
No, I haven't done Everest Base Camp.
No.
That's another one on my list. So,
it is an incredible journey. It's just unbelievably beautiful up there, and yeah, it's definitely on a lot of people's bucket list, that one. Definitely. But it's doable. It's there and ready for the taking once we can all get back out there. So yeah, absolutely. How about you, Dave?
Well, I was thinking about this one, and I thought maybe, as you said, it's unlimited. What I think you could do is drop me off in Asia, and I'll walk home.
That sounds like a good plan. Wow.
I've got a couple of comments here. Alan is heartily agreeing with everything you guys are saying. And Lexi says Everest Space Camp is amazing, and Bhutan's on her list as well. So what's on your list, Sarah?
Oh gosh, where isn't on my list? I tell you what, the latest one that's been really appealing to me is trekking in Papua New Guinea. It's just starting to, well, obviously, apart from what's happening in the world now, it's really just starting to kind of open up to sort of trekking and adventure travel rather than just the sort of high-end fly into a remote location and be isolated. So I've been looking into some options there, and that's somewhere I'd really love to go to, just for the culture and the scenery, and just somewhere totally off the beaten track. So that would be high up on my list, I think. What about you?
South America, just all over it. Like Dave says, drop him off in Asia and walk back. Just drop me off somewhere in South America and I'll just go for a wander. But if no restrictions, no anything, Antarctica would be amazing to tick off the list. Just to kind of, like, either of the poles, North Pole, South Pole. I'm not fussed, but anything extreme and challenging, that would be top of my list, I think.
Yeah, you'll have to do the Arctic Challenge then. That's
I've been up to Norway, so yeah, so I've been in the Arctic, not the different travel Arctic Challenge, but something very similar. So yeah, it's an incredible experience. It's the cold doesn't bother me.
I love it actually. I think I prefer the snow to the heat, but I like them both. So.
Yeah, the whole world's out there, isn't it? Just as you said, Lumia, once we can get back out there and start exploring, everywhere's waiting for us. So hopefully it won't be too much longer.
Yeah, Rob's agreeing with me in the comments, Antarctica, and Lexi. Antarctica will be unbelievable. Yeah. Maybe that's one for the open challenges in a couple of years.
Absolutely.
Next trip.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you. I mean, thank you both of you for joining us today. I think that's been really good to hear your thoughts and hopefully helpful to some of the people listening today. Next week, we're actually doing something a little bit different. We thought we'd have a bit of fun and go for a travel quiz. So grab your cup of coffee at 11 o'clock next Thursday and join us for a travel-themed quiz. In the meantime, we hope you all have a great week. And if anyone's got any questions that you want to ask us, or even if you want to ask Lucy or Dave anything, I'm sure if you pop it in the comments, they'd be very happy to drop you a quick answer. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah. Bye all.
Okay.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.